heart of a quiet Florida farm, long after the moon had claimed the sky, a primal battle was raging. This wasn't a fight between rivals in a herd or a predator native to these lands. This was something ancient and alien. At its center was an impossible sight, a 12-meter anaconda, a living river of muscle and scales, a monster from a distant continent. Its body was a suffocating cage of death, glistening under the pale moonlight. And trapped within that cage was Daisy, a young heifer whose life was being extinguished with every passing. Agonizing second, the question wasn't how this creature from the Amazon had found its way here. It was whether anyone on Earth could possibly stop it in time. The man who would have to try was a farmer named John. He was a guardian of this land, a steward to the animals under his care. He wasn't a hero by trade, but on this night, he had heard a sound that no guardian could ever ignore. It wasn't the lowing of a cow in labor, or the cry of a calf for its mother. It was a low, guttural moan of pure agony that had drifted through his open window. A sound so wrong it chilled him to the bone and pulled him from his sleep. When he reached the pasture, the flashlight beam cutting a nervous path through the oppressive darkness. The cold realities worse than any nightmare his mind could conjure. Daisy was on the ground, her legs occasionally kicking in a futile struggle for freedom. The anaconda was a living mountain of scales and muscle, its girth as thick as a telephone pole. With each strained, wheezing breath the cow took, you could see the snake's entire body tighten in response. A merciless, suffocating engine of destruction methodically finishing its work. John could see the life being pressed out of her, could see the terror in her wide,
listen to me. You have to get here now.
unblinking eyes. This was a monster, a creature of myth and legend, impossibly far from its home, and it was crushing one of his own right before his eyes. The humid night air was thick and still. The darkness was absolute, swallowing the sound and light. The muddy ground was treacherous, promising to betray any sudden movement, and he was completely, utterly alone. To rush in with a pitchfork or a rifle would be suicide, and would likely only make the snake kill Daisy faster. But to do nothing? That was unthinkable. Backing away slowly, his boots sinking into the soft earth, never once taking his eyes off the horrific scene, he pulled out his phone.
Matters now.
His fingers, usually so steady, trembled slightly as he dialed. He made the most important call of his life. He described the impossible scene unfolding in his field to a dispatcher who at first must have thought it was a prank. But the raw urgency in his voice, steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him, convinced them. He pleaded for them to hurry, his voice low and intense, knowing that every single second mattered now. Help was on the way, but help was minutes away, and Daisy had only seconds. For John, this began the longest, most agonizing wait of his life. He was a helpless sentinel in the dark, a statue carved from fear and desperation. He watched as the snake began to slowly adjust its massive coils, a subtle shift of power, preparing for the final, bone-shattering constriction that would end it all. The world seemed to shrink to just this one terrible tableau, silent except for the frantic beating of his own heart. Just as the last ounce of hope began to dissolve into despair, a pair of headlights sliced through the distant darkness, sweeping across the field. The cavalry had arrived. The lead ranger, calm and intensely focused man named Vance, stepped out of the truck. He didn't rush. He moved with a purpose that spoke of years of experience. He took one long look, his professional eyes assessing not just the snake and the cow, but the terrain, the angles, the risks. He knew they were standing on the razor's edge of a tragedy. Through his radio, his voice a low, clear command in the chaos,
Ready, sir.
he relayed the critical details. A confirmed anaconda, approximately 12 meters, actively constricting a bovine that was in extreme distress. They were engaging immediately. There was no time for deliberation. Their plan had to be swift, precise, and executed with flawless courage. It was to be a dance with death, choreographed in the space of a few heartbeats.
Ready, sir.
They approached the monstrous serpent, each step deliberate, sinking into the mud. The air grew thick with a primal tension you could almost taste. The snake, sensing these new arrivals, became perfectly, terrifyingly still, a coiled spring of lethal power waiting to be unleashed. Then, it reacted not with fear, but with pure, reptilian aggression, whipping its head around in a terrifyingly fast strike that one of the rangers barely dodged. stumbling back with a choked cry. That single, aggressive movement was the only opening they were going to get. It was chaos, but it was their chance. While the snake reset itself, Ranger Vance lunged forward, jamming a specialized, flat bar prying tool into a tiny gap between the thick, unyielding coils. It was a battle of human leverage and will against the purest form of primal power on the planet. The muscles of the anaconda felt like solid steel cables. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. The bar wouldn't budge. Then, the snake began to tighten again with renewed fury. A final, crushing effort that threatened to shatter Daisy's ribs. With a final, desperate roar of effort that came from deep within him. Vance pushed, leveraging all his weight, all his strength, all his hope into that one single point. There was a sickening sound of tearing tissue and shifting scales, and the immense pressure was finally broken apart. It was only an inch of space, but it was an ocean of hope. It was the signal for John and the other ranger to pull with all their might. And just like that, she was free.
Damn it!
The cow, dead weight of exhausted flesh, was released from the suffocating pressure and slid out from the deadly embrace. The anaconda, its prey suddenly and inexplicably gone, paused in confusion, its massive form coiling and uncoiling before it slowly, silently, slithered back into the impenetrable darkness from which it came. In the sudden, ringing silence, the only sound was the collective, ragged gasp of air from the rescuers, and one other, truly beautiful sound. A deep, shuddering, life-affirming intake of breath from Daisy.
Let's take a look.
The immediate danger was over, but her ordeal was far from
You're
finished.
strong, girl. You're gonna be just fine.
A quick, gentle assessment revealed extensive deep tissue bruising and frightening signs of oxygen deprivation.
You're a fighter.
Miraculously, no major bones were broken.
Girl, we've got you.
She was a fighter,
No broken
but she
bones,
needed
that's
immediate,
good.
intensive medical care to survive the night. The days that followed were a quiet, powerful testament to resilience. At the rescue center, surrounded by the gentle hum of medical equipment and the soft voices of caregivers, Daisy began her long journey back from the brink. The trauma, both physical and psychological, was immense. For the first day, she wouldn't even stand,
It's all right,
her
girl.
body trembling with the memory of
safe
the
now.
ordeal. But with every gentle
We
touch,
finally got you
every
back.
nourishing meal patiently offered, a little more of the light returned to her
But
eyes.
with every
She was a
gentle
symbol,
touch,
not just of survival,
a little more
but of the
light
incredible,
returned to her
unyielding will
eyes.
to live that exists in all creatures. Her recovery was a slow-motion miracle forged by compassion. It was a testament to the quiet heroes, the vets, the techs, the volunteers, people like John who visited her every single day, the people who run into the darkness when everyone else runs away. These are the people who believe, with every fiber of their being, that every single life is precious and worth fighting for. And then came the day when the journey came full circle. The trailer door opened back at John's farm, and Daisy stepped out onto the familiar green
How are the
grass.
vitals looking on the
This
eagle?
wasn't just a return to a
Stable,
field.
but let's monitor
It was a
the
return to
intake
the life
closely.
that was almost stolen from her. She lifted her head, took in the familiar sights and sounds,
Welcome home, girl.
and then broke into
You
a
did
happy
good.
trot, rejoining her herd, watching her run free. It's easy to forget the horror of that night, but we shouldn't. Her story is a powerful reminder of the fragile balance between our world and theirs, and the profound impact we can have when we choose to act. In a world full of shadows, sometimes all it takes is one act of courage to be the difference between a tragic ending and a beautiful new beginning.